Hello friends, welcome you all to Gnandeep Academy for UPSC Pune. In this video, if you want to watch this series on Indian polity where I have made an attempt to cover almost all point of Lakshmikant, you can join this course on our Gnandeep IAS Academy app which you can get on a Play Store. This app, it has inner circle completely red and outer circle quite bluish greenish. You can join this app and all other important instructions are available on that store and that app itself. So if you feel that these videos are very good, do watch, do share with your friends. Your suggestions and all your comments are very welcome. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Hello friends, welcome you all to Gnandeep Academy. Now we are towards the end of that very important topic which we are studying since so many days. The name of the topic is our parliament. Today we'll try to study the important aspect which is analytical part of Indian parliament. So these are some of the important points which I want to discuss with you. Let's go with these points. First thing, Indian parliament is basically a multifunctional organization. Why it is called as multifunctional organization? I will be organizing all important points which I have discussed with you in previous topics and how these points clearly reflect as Indian parliament as a multifunctional we are going to study. So first, what is the first important function of parliament? It is legislative organ of the Indian government. It means the first and the foremost important function of Indian parliament is to make laws. And we have seen how laws are made, what are the procedures of laws and how these laws have been checked, verified, analyzed and examined by parliament so that the democratic credentials and constitutional values are respected by everyone. We have studied in previous lectures. So first, legislative powers and functions of parliament. Second important functions are executive powers and functions, where important appointments, important what we can say implementational part and other important parts which are related with the Prime Minister and Council of Minister are being carried on by Parliament or being supported by Parliament are executive powers and functions of Indian Parliament, which we have discussed in detail in the topic on Parliament. Third, financial powers and functions of Parliament. Now, what is the foremost financial function of Parliament? It is budgetary control. What is budget? Annual financial statement of the government, which contains provisions relating to estimated income and expenditure of government on annual basis. So this budget is very important tool in the hands of Prime Minister and Council of Minister to run various government policies, programs and objectives. Through this government, through this budget, government is able to exercise its influence on the entire Indian polity, economy, society and all these aspects. That's why to have control over budget through various means is one of the most important function of Indian parliament. Why? Because in budget, the money which will be spent by PM and Council of Minister will be people's money. A very important word is used for this people's money. It is called as public purse. And a very important line, Parliament is the guardian of public purse. It means it shall be the duty of Indian Parliament to protect people's money from wastage. So, budgetary control. Second, post-budgetary control through various audit reports, through various parliamentary committees and through various investigation inquiry committees to check whether the money which is being spent by executive is within the lines of constitution, within the lines of law, within the lines of proprietary spending. It means whether while spending money, economy, effectiveness, efficiency of the expenditure has been taken into consideration or not is being checked in post-budgetary control. The next important is principle of annuality. It means the check and control exercised by Parliament on finances of the government are not long-term, but these checks and controls are exercised by Parliament on annual basis. It means every year the spending made by government, earning made by government and analysis of the spending and earning is being checked by Parliament on annual basis. It is principle of annuality. So this is third important function, financial power, financial control, financial examination. Then constituent powers and function. It means right of the Parliament related to constitution, right of Parliament to add certain important things in constitution, to make changes in the constitution and to repeal and delete unnecessary unwanted parts from the constitution is also one of the important function of Indian Parliament. It is carried out by Indian Parliament under Article 368. Article 368 is article about constitutional powers of Indian Parliament, constitutional powers. Article 368 is about amendment to the Indian Constitution. So, Article 368 reflects constituent powers and functions of Indian Parliament. Then, fifth one is judicial powers and function. On this part, you could definitely or you could straightforward get a question. They could give you option or they could give you a question to write what or which among the following are judicial powers and functions of Indian Parliament. So here the functions are impeachment of the president. Why impeachment of the president is a judicial function? Because it has been specifically mentioned that impeachment of the president is a quasi-judicial procedure which follows all the procedures of civil code. That's why impeachment of the president. Then second is removal of vice president. Third, recommendation for removal of judges of the Supreme Court and High Court. Then punishment for contempt of parliament and breaching its privileges. So all these things make or gives parliament a power of civil court where parliament sit as a court, like a court, not as a court, like a court, and that's why these are judicial powers of the parliament. Then electoral powers and functions means right to elect members, right to elect speaker, deputy speaker, chairman, deputy chairman, right to elect amongst themselves members of parliamentary committees, presidents of parliamentary committees. All these are electoral powers and functions. Then other powers and functions, very, very important. Parliament is highest deliberative body in India. It means the important function of parliament is to have deliberations and discussions on important issues, important matters, important laws, policy and programs. So it is highest deliberative body in India. Then it approves all three types of emergencies which are given in part 18 of Indian Constitution. The three types of emergencies are: one is national emergency, which comes under Article 352. Second is state emergency, which is also called as President's Rule, or constitutional emergency, which comes under Article 356. And last one is financial emergency, which comes under Article 360. So, here remember, it is right, power, privilege and authority of Parliament to approve all these three types of emergencies given in Part 18 of the Indian Constitution. It has right to create or abolish legislative council in these states. It is the right of parliament. Then Article 3 about making changes in the boundary, area, name and territory of the state. That is increasing area of a state, decreasing area of a state, merging of two or more than two states, or what we can say, breaking a particular larger state into two or more than two states comes under Article 3, which is also called as internal adjustment. So it is right of the parliament. It is carried out by parliament through which majority? By simple majority. Then it regulates organization and jurisdiction of Supreme Court and High Court. This we have seen, and also we are going to study these points in this detail. Here just try to remember the list. Now these are certain points relating to what? Relating to multifunctional role of parliament. Now we will go into another important aspect, whether parliament is effectiveness or not. Whether parliament is effective or not. So, ineffectiveness. So, this first part that we have seen, multifunctional role of parliament is positive aspect of the working of parliament. Now, we will go into this important negative aspect or disadvantaged aspect, or the part where parliament falls short of the mandate given to the parliament, and that part is called as ineffectiveness of parliamentary control. It means whatever control exercised by Indian Parliament on executive and other administration is not very effective. It is ineffective. It is a kind of sporadic control, a general control, and not giving very desired result. It is ineffectiveness of parliamentary control. So how it is ineffective? Let's go into it. See, here it has been mentioned very clearly. Parliamentary control is more theoretical than practical. Also, I will use few words. Parliamentary control is more sporadic. It means it is not continue. Second, it is a kind of general control. It is not very strict control. And most importantly, it has very larger time lag. It means whatever control exercised by parliament is not within time. It is a kind of post-mortem control which has very least relevance, which has very less importance. That's why it is said parliamentary control is ineffective. Not totality, but to some extent the parliamentary control is ineffective. How? First thing, parliament do not have sufficient time nor they are expert people. As we discussed, the members of parliament are amateur members and they do not have expertise in this subject, and they are elected to parliament, so it is not possible for the members to discuss and to understand all the specific parts of the parliamentary function. That's why here parliamentary control is has a time constraint, has also expertise constraint. Then financial control exercised by parliament through budget is very poor. Why? Because the technical nature of demand for grants. Money demanded by various ministries is called as demand. Now listen this point very carefully. Money demanded by various ministries to implement their programs and policies and projects is called as demand. When this demand is put in parliament through budget, this demand is voted in the parliament or it is voted during the budget process. It gets converted into grant. So the money demanded by parliament, which after duly voting gets converted into grant, is called as demand for grant. Now these demand for grants are very technical. They involve a kind of technical aspect, financial aspect, economical aspect, and the members of parliament are not very well aware about these things. That's why this parliamentary control or the control over finances of government are poor due to technical nature of demand for grants. Then legislative leadership lies with the executive. Dual membership. What it means? It means in India, Prime Minister and Council of Minister belongs to the political party which has majority in the parliament. It means they have majority in the legislature. It means whenever a bill is brought by Prime Minister or his members of council, then that bill, it is sure, will get passed. Why? Because the political party to which these PM and Council of Minister belongs have majority in the parliament. And no member of parliament will allow a defaming or shaming of his own party colleague who are ministers. That's why it is said in this particular case that legislative leadership lies with the executive due to dual membership. As they have majority in legislature, they have majority in executive, the control becomes ineffective. Large and unmanageable size of parliament is one of the aspects where it is not possible to discuss all important issues in a smooth, effective, efficient and expertised manner. As we have discussed, fifth point, majority support lies in the hands of executive. That's why it is ineffective. Then financial committees, whatever financial committees we have, they have post-mortem nature. It means financial committees do not control expenditure before it happens, right? Financial committees do not have any kind of control over the expenditure before it happens. Financial committees have control over the expenditure once it is spent, once that money is spent. That's why this kind of control over the finances or the expenditure is called as post-mortem nature of the expenditure. So financial committees control over the public finances is a kind of post-mortem nature. Repeated use of guillotine, where most of the matters are voted or put to vote without discussion, affects the proper deliberative function of the parliament. Growth of delegated legislation, where most of the legislation are being delegated or handed over to executive by parliament due to paucity of time, due to constraint of expertise and due to constraint of finances, gives all these things in the hands of executive and reduces the effectiveness of control of parliament over the public works. Repeated use of ordinances. Ordinances are brought under Article 123 of the Indian Constitution. Parliamentary control is sporadic, general and mostly political. And most important, poor or lack of strong and steady opposition is one of the most important issue affecting parliamentary democracies like India. We need to have a strong, steady and willed opposition which can ensure the proper functioning of Indian parliament. Now, the next important point is position of Rajya Sabha. Here we will compare position of Rajya Sabha with Lok Sabha, where it is equal with Lok Sabha, where it is inferior with Lok Sabha, and where it has upper hand over with the Lok Sabha. So this will be a kind of comparison between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. This we have discussed already. Here I am just giving you the list of the points where Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have a kind of similarity, differences, and up downs. So position of Rajya Sabha. First, before moving forward, first point, what is Rajya Sabha? It is also called as Council of States. First point, it is upper house of Indian Parliament. It is representative of the states, and allocation of seats to various states in Rajya Sabha is given in 4th schedule of the Indian Constitution. I repeat 4 things once again. Rajya Sabha, which is also called as Council of States, it is upper house of the Parliament, it is representative of the states, and allocation of seats to various states are given in the 4th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Now how it works? Let's go into it. What are the places where there is equal status with Lok Sabha? What are the places where Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have equal status? First, regarding ordinary bill, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have absolutely equal position. We have discussed the passing of ordinary bill, where we have seen Rajya Sabha can reject a bill, Rajya Sabha can hold a bill, Rajya Sabha can send a bill back for reconsideration. So in all these places, regarding ordinary bill, Rajya Sabha has equal position with Lok Sabha. Then regarding constitutional amendment bill, which comes under article 368, for this bill also Rajya Sabha has equal status with Lok Sabha. Then financial bills involving expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India, equal status. Then election and impeachment of the president, equal status. We are going to study election and impeachment of president in detail in next few lectures. Election and removal of vice president, the process of this can be initiated in Rajya Sabha only. Why? Vice president is ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. Recommendation to the president regarding removal of Chief Justice of India, then judges of Supreme Court, judges of High Court, and election commissioner. In all these cases, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have equal status. Then approval of the ordinances under Article 123, Rajya Sabha has equal powers. Selection of Prime Minister and other ministers. Prime Minister and other ministers can belong to any House of Parliament. Unlike Britain, in Britain, Prime Minister should be preferably from House of Commons only. It means in Britain, Prime Minister should be from lower house only. It is not the case in India. In India, Prime Minister can be from Lok Sabha or he could be from Rajya Sabha also. There is no limitation. So, selection of Prime Minister and other minister, there is no limitation. Reports of Finance Commission, UPSC and CAG, they are reported equally before Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Enlargement of the jurisdiction of Supreme Court and UPSC lies in the hands of both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Then, there are certain points where Rajya Sabha do not have equal status with Lok Sabha. What are these points? Let's go into it. Unequal status with Lok Sabha. First, it is about money bill. The definition of money bill is given in Article 110. Now, money bill can be introduced in Lok Sabha only. Right to vote on money bill lies in the hands of Lok Sabha only. Right to make changes, amendment, addition, deletion in the money bill lies in the Lok Sabha only. Rajya Sabha can discuss on money bill, but Rajya Sabha has to return money bill to Lok Sabha within 14 days. It means Rajya Sabha can keep a money bill with it only for 14 days. If Rajya Sabha do not send that bill to Lok Sabha within 14 days, then it shall be treated that Rajya Sabha has acceptance to the bill, and that is the case. Whether a bill is money bill or not shall be decided by Speaker, who is President of Lok Sabha. This power is not in the hands of Rajya Sabha chairman. So these are all points regarding money bill, and in this last point here, it is compulsory that whether a bill is money bill or not shall be decided by Speaker, and the decision of Speaker is final. It cannot be challenged in any court. Then regarding financial bill, Financial bill can be introduced in Lok Sabha only. Financial bill 1 cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Other than introduction, all other procedures for financial bill are same like ordinary bill. I repeat this point once again. Financial bill 1, which is given in article 117 first clause. Financial bill 1 can be introduced in Lok Sabha only. Right? It cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. But after introduction, whatever remaining procedure is there, remaining procedure for financial bill 1 is same like Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay? Joint sitting, which is called under article 108. Here remember two important bits. Joint sitting is summoned by President of India, but it is chaired by Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Remember, it is Speaker of the Lok Sabha who has the right to chair joint sitting. Chairman of Rajya Sabha do not have right to chair joint sitting. Why? Because Chairman of Rajya Sabha, who is Chairman of Rajya Sabha? Vice President is the ex officio Chairman of Rajya Sabha. And Vice President is not member of Rajya Sabha, and this is the reason why Vice President do not have right to chair joint sitting. In joint sitting also, as Lok Sabha has a strength of 550 and Rajya Sabha has a strength of 250. So in joint sitting also, when common voting is taken with complete strength of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, here also Lok Sabha has upper hand due to greater strength in the numbers. Demand for grant. Rajya Sabha can discuss but cannot vote on demand for grants. I star mark this point, it is important. On demand for grants, Rajya Sabha has the right to discuss only, but it does not have right to vote on demand for grants. Resolution for discontinuation of national emergency, which is imposed under Article 352. This resolution can be brought by Lok Sabha only. Rajya Sabha do not have the right to bring any kind of resolution which will discontinue national emergency. Rajya Sabha cannot use no confidence motion for removal of Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. One line which we have discussed many times. What is that line? Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to Parliament in general, and they are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha in particular. And this is the reason why no confidence motion can be raised in Lok Sabha only. It cannot be raised in Rajya Sabha. And that's why Rajya Sabha do not have the right to ensure or ascertain majority support to the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers in the House. Now, there are certain areas where Rajya Sabha has special powers. What are those special powers? First, Article 249. What is Article 249? It is power of Parliament to make law on state list. I repeat once again. It is power of Parliament to make law on state list. We have seen this particular aspect, right? We have seen this thing that on union list, Parliament has the right to make law. On state list, state legislature has the right to make law. But under Article 249, if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution that in national interest, it is pertinent for Parliament to make law on state list, in that case, Parliament can make a law on the state list. So, under Article 249, whose resolution is important for Parliament to make a law on state list? It is resolution of Rajya Sabha is important to make a law on state list by Parliament. Then Article 312. What is 312? It is about All India services. Here remember, any new All India services can be created by Rajya Sabha only. Sorry, any new All India service is created by law of the Parliament, but to create any new All India services, resolution of Rajya Sabha is needed. Rajya Sabha resolution must say that in national interest, it is important to create new All India services. After this resolution of Rajya Sabha, a draft will be presented in the Parliament, and this draft will be passed as a law, which is called as which is there for creation of new All India services. Clear? Now, significance of Rajya Sabha. A theoretical part, I'll just read out important points. What is significance? First, Rajya Sabha checks hasty, defective, careless and ill-considered legislation made by Lok Sabha due to their majority. Right. Second, It is representative of state government. Since Rajya Sabha is representative of state government, it helps in maintaining federal equilibrium. I repeat once again, since Rajya Sabha is representative of state government, Rajya Sabha helps in maintaining federal equilibrium. Representation to eminent professionals and experts which are represented in the Rajya Sabha by President. As we have discussed, President has the right to nominate 12 members from the areas of art, literature, science and social services. So, this is the comparison between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In next lecture, we will be coming up with more important topics. Till then, thank you very much. Have a good day.